My fixation is that I could have been a painter.
I could have been a painter.
Or I could have been a musician. I opted for being a musician.
Video Killed the Radio Star presents David Bowie, the golden years of music video. In this episode, we discuss the music, the inspiration and the innovative techniques behind David Bowie's iconic videos, from Ziggy Stardust to Ashes to Live Aid.
England back in the early 70s was not the multiracial, exciting country that we think of now. This was a place that was still grey. It was war-torn still. It was early closing. It was strikes. It was all that sort of stuff. It was no country to be young in 1972. And then into this steps Ziggy Stardust. And here was this figure, this skinny man in skin-tight clothing with bright red hair teased into a pompadour. Your parents tut-tutted and said, "Oh, I don't like him, he's weird, he's queer, he's strange." But young England just went, wow.
The reasons that I do what I do is because I just like startling people. Something to do. This kick, I know with the drugs, and you get a different kind of buzz off those, but stage is just something else. It's partaking of people. I'm very much a character when I go on stage, I feel. I mean, I believe in my part all the way down the line, right the way down. But I do play it for all it's worth, because that's the way I do my stage thing. That's part of what Bowie's supposedly all about. I'm an actor.
Look at Bowie's career. It's almost as if video was invented for him. There is no artist for whom that medium is more perfect.
16, school leaving age. I went to an advertising agency. One thing that came out of the advertising thing, I think, was learning about storyboarding and putting your ideas down on paper in chronological order. And that really came out of advertising, I think, and that stayed with me. So right from the beginning, I was storyboarding videos. Videos that I started doing, I think, properly, were with an English photographer called Mick Rock. The first thing that we did together was Gene Genie. Looking back on that one, it looks sort of Beatley now. It felt very new at the time, and we wanted to get a very graphic, white, almost Vogue look. Big faces, big bits of faces, eyes, against stark white backdrops, things like that.
2 years after Ziggy and the first kind of shockwaves of Bowie, you got a whole scene in London. They became known as the Blitz Kid, the Cults with No Name, New Romantics, all these different names. Then they move on to this place called Blitz with Steve Strange on the door, Rusty Egan playing kind of electronic records, but always playing Bowie records. None of them old fart rock stars are allowed in the Blitz. Until the night Bowie comes down. And believe me, I was there. I mean, these people, really were the coolest people on earth. Are so excited, and then you hear that he's actually looking for people to be in his video, and everybody in that kind of room that night at the Blitz was basically auditioning to be in the Bowie video. I've never seen people preening and posing and dancing as fabulously as they did that night. And this was the video for Ashes to Ashes, of course.
Ashes to Ashes was whatever it was, the record, Surreal Dream, call it what you want. The video itself was the precursor of the modern romantics and all that look, and it was a good way to incorporate this whole Blitz look into a music video, which hadn't been done, and it was completely new to the public.
The way the Ashes to Ashes video was one of the ones that really made me want to make videos. Oh, homage to, there was the new romantic thing happening, and the audacity of getting someone like Steve Strange, coming along doing all those movements.
Who's a great person for me to work with. He's incredibly generous in his allowing me to do whatever I want, especially at the beginning when neither of us really knew if I could make videos or not. I brought my drawings to him and I said, look, I'd like to have a crack at this. Can we try it my way? But there are things that I don't understand about video technique. Would you sort of help me out on sort of special effects and things? And do you know how to turn the sky black? This loud voice said, yes. So we turned the sky black. But David has been excellent in those terms, technically. And he'll always continue an idea. When I might wrap it up too quickly, he'll expand an idea that I might make too brief.
It's a genuine collaboration because he knows exactly what he wants. I want to be a clown, I want to be on the beach, and I want some modern romantics with me. Then I say, well, wouldn't it be great if the sky was black? And then he would say, yes, and we can have a burning brazier. And then I would say, yes, and then we can do the scene from Quatermass where you're plugged into a spaceship. And he would say, great, and I can hang like this. And I said, yes, great, we'll extend your veins out to the spaceship. And then, thank you very much, Mr. Bowie, then you've got to work out how to do it, which would be relatively easy now, but then wasn't easy. It with Ashes to Ashes was to get the sky to go black without ruining everybody's faces, because there was no such thing as post-production colours in those days. I'd previously discovered how to do that by accident. Someone was fiddling and the sky suddenly went, but it didn't affect them. So I said, stop, 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 you know, make a note of where that is, how you do that. And this chap did it, and it came in useful later.
The new romantic movement was kids who were actually 15, 20 years younger than Bowie. And yet by bringing them into the video...
Don't get too po-faced about it. Although Ashes looked pretty po-faced, but it was a riot making it.
Bowie has this habit of kind of disappearing for a little while. He goes a bit quiet. Suddenly he re-emerges with a new look, a new sound, a whole new persona, a new package.
The reinvention thing, I don't buy into that at all. I think there's a real continuity with what I do, and it's just about expressing myself in a contemporaneous fashion. It's an easy description, isn't it? It's kind of, hey Dave, you're a real chameleon, you know. Well, you know something, I'm probably the chameleon of rock, you know, because what I do is all about cha-cha changes, you know, and it kind of gets all that. I'd much prefer to just think of myself as a modern working artist. It's as simple as that. And I just work within the fabric of my society.
David Bowie hadn't been in the public eye for 2 or 3 years before we made Let's Dance. He'd been writing and being a bit of a recluse. So it was not a comeback, but it was kind of the first thing people had seen. It was a total change musically for Bowie, and it was a total change for all of us making videos, and it was one of the very early videos that was made on film. And again, at the time, none of us had any idea that it would be that big a hit. You're making these things and you hope it's going to work. It would be a good idea to go to Australia and make something look fresh and new. And I thought it'd be a good idea to do it on 35mm film, make it look fresh and new. I heard the record, and the record was clear and crisp and right in front of you when you listen to it, and I thought this needs clear, crisp film and not, you know, old videotape. So off we go to Australia, where the light is fantastic. And we came back with 2 videos. One was China Girl and one was Let's Dance. Let's Dance, the scene in the bar, was genuine local people who were in the bar at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they hated David Bowie and they hated us horrible Nancy boys with films so much that they were, although in the film it looks like they're bopping away and enjoying it, they actually were completely taking the piss out of us. They hated us. For us, because we didn't care they hated us or not, and it genuinely looked as if they were enjoying it.
The shoes, for example, that appear in Let's Dance, are they the red shoes of Hollywood and the Yellow Brick Road, or are they the red shoes of the shiny new capitalism that's taken over everything? You know, these are the kind of debates that you have with Bowie.
It's something that somebody else already created as a symbol, and it seemed apropos for this particular video. One, they are the sinfulness of the capitalist society. I mean, a pair of luxury goods, red leather shoes. And also they're a sort of a striving for success out of black music. It was always put on your red shoes, baby. You know.
David's idea, and it was basically to do with some Aborigines going on a sojourn, as if walkabout, and ending in Sydney, a big conurbation. That was sort of the premise of it all.
Not usually an overtly political artist. He doesn't make political statements per se, but I think he often puts hints, perhaps kind of quasi-political ideas, particularly in the videos, and then making a song very overtly called China Girl, about a relationship with a Chinese girl. And I think he does that in this period an awful lot. He looks forward to a globalised corporate world, even if he doesn't quite know he's doing it.
Dreadful hoo-ha over China Girl. It's complete rubbish. It's about nothing. In fact, there is the version that everybody now sees is the expurgated version. There was a slightly more X-rated version. And all it was that scene with Burt Lancaster and whoever she is on the beach, redone with the waves washing over them, and they're at it like snakes. That's the point. And we cleaned it up after the initial hoo-ha, and I wish I could find a copy of the uncleaned up one, because it was actually rather beautiful. It's a pity it got cleaned up. Always pressure to produce a music video that MTV would play. Plenty of people tried to do things that MTV wouldn't play, and indeed they didn't play it. Therefore, the money was wasted. We made China Girl and Let's Dance. I think the labels had got much more involved in the making of music videos, but they didn't have much chance with us because we were in Australia.
Very awkward about that, about censorship, because I object very strongly to the chicks used in page 3 things. And I don't need to use sort of naked bodies in that particular context, because again, they are surrounded by other sort of disorienting symbols which add up to some collective message which is not at all agreeable sometimes. What we had intended doing, we were going to do a live satellite thing where Mick would sing in New York and I would sing in England. Then we found out that half-second time delay thing really screwed it up. There's no way that we could technically overcome that so that we could both sing together. There is no way around it. So that we decided to do a video together instead.
Dancing in the Street with Jagger and Bowie was very different because they turned up in a recording studio in the afternoon and recorded it. So none of us had ever heard it until they rocked up. They just gave me the tape and we literally made something up as we went along, literally. The whole British film industry was there. I think we had about 9 feature film crews there. Everybody turned up for nothing to do it for a bit of a laugh. They worked well off each other and with each other. So, in fact, it was just like 2 members of a band, really. Everybody chucked ideas in. There was one scene which is definitely David's. There's one scene I can look at now which I knew was mine. There was one scene in Dancing in the Street which was people coming in out of a door and someone popping up from under the camera. That was conceived by David Bowie, of course. There was another bit which was Jagger, which was when he was walking up the empty street doing rather good choreography, I thought. And it was all joined together with bits shot in sheer desperation before the dawn.
What you've got with Dancing in the Street is him having fun, really. Him and Mick Jagger are kind of an old sparring partner, these 2 kids from swinging London. And they say, right, we can go and do this. And it looks spontaneous. It looks like it's got a smile on its face. And I think this is as close as you'll get to a completely off-the-cuff, unguarded Bowie.
Finished filming at about 4:45, 5 o'clock in the morning. In fact, the very last shot, you can see lots of cars in the distance with their headlights on, and that is because it was actually getting light, and to give the impression that it was a bit darker, I had to stick all these cars out there facing us with the headlights on full beam. That video worked as much because they made such a good record as anything else.
I don't think it's an overestimation to say that David Bowie has been the most influential artist of the entire second half of the 20th century. And I say the word artist, and I don't just mean singer. I mean designer, stylist, videos, fashion. Wherever you look, if you scratch the surface, you can see the imprint of David Bowie. Pretty much every band now will have grown up listening to, whether it's Ziggy Stardust or it's Heroes or it's Young Americans. Go through your generations and you can hear echoes of Bowie everywhere. He's touched pretty much every creative artist, I think, working in Britain today in one way or another, because he's that important.